And we left off in the 16th chapter. Did we get over into the 16th chapter? We were up to 17, because at the end of 16, we see that Ahithophel, you know, his name Ahithophel actually indicates that he's the brother of a fool. So he was known for his counsel. I mean, he was known to be a wise man, and his counsel, if he counseled you, that meant you would be propelled into success, because he had that kind of reputation, and he had good success with using the wisdom that he had gotten. But what he did was he sided with Absalom against David. Now that was not a smart choice, but he thought he was riding the right horse. He was on the side of the one who would come out on the top, because, well, the numbers favored him. And his popularity and his beauty and all these things favored him. So now, when he made his move and forced David, king of all Israel, to flee his palace, to flee Jerusalem, for to save his life from his son, this fellow said, now that your father is gone out of the city, and he has left his 10 concubines to care for his property and his goods that are left behind, lay with each one of them. Dishonor your father. And he took the idea very seriously and said, wow, that sounds good. What kind of a monster thinks that sounds good? One who hates his father and is an immoral bastard in the beginning. And he was itching to do that. Wow, that sounds really good. And they put up a tent, a pavilion, on the roof. Yeah. So people could come and see. And you know what else it spoke to? It spoke to this. I'll never make peace with that old man. Right. Now I gotta kill him. Now I will kill him. Because there's no way back from this. That's like taking out the sword and throwing the scabbard away. Right. That's it. It's on forever. One of us is going to leave this planet. And the way I see it, it's going to be you, Abi. And he did this evil in the sight of the people. Now David had spoken or prayed a prayer when he heard that Ahithophel was on his son's side. He said this, "O Lord, O Yehovah, make his counsel as foolishness." And the Most High heard that prayer. That's right. He heard that prayer because this counsel here told him to do something that meant commit a capital crime. You only need 2 witnesses. He did it in front of hundreds. Commit a capital crime for which the Most High God will require your blood. What does the commandment say? Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be what? Long. I almost answered the problem last week. I said, what's the opposite of long? Short. That's it. The short answer is short. So now, Ahithophel, his counsel, is from his own hatred of David. Or, as some say, he was the grandfather of Bathsheba. Right. Now, he's the grandfather of Bathsheba, whom David had this affair with, that had her disgracing for a moment before the forgiveness came from the Eternal. He was looking to revenge himself or to get the high hand over him. Whatever it was, his motive was evil. Now let's look at the 17th chapter. Last time, imbibe the word. Drink it into you. Read along with Chief Mekobadja, and let the word of Yah enter into your spirit man, men and women, the core of your life, a spiritual heart, that we may be able to grow spiritually in wisdom and in strength. And understand this, Your spirit is more powerful than your flesh. And if your spirit is empowered by the Holy Spirit of wisdom herself, this flesh will follow. It will defy aging. It will dispel evil, disease out of you. It will allow you to live long and strong. The word is not only alive, it makes alive. It builds life. It'll make, somewhere in this great book of God, it says it is marrow to your bones. That means it makes new blood, baby. It makes new blood. It doesn't allow your bones to become brittle. You fall down and, oh, I got fractures and this and that. Well, now let's read from 2 Samuel 17:1.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he is weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid. And all the people that are with him shall flee. And I will smite the king only, and I will bring back all the people unto thee, when all shall have returned, save the man whom thou seekest, all the people will be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Yisrael.
All the elders of Israel. A whole lot of people were betting on Absalom.
Right.
They thought, now if David has fled, this is the king. This is our new anointed one. And now, Ahithophel gives some good counsel. Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. Don't give him a chance to rest. Let me catch him on the run while he is weakened. You see, when he's going out like this, he does not have a real force. He has those people around him who will give their life for him, but they're no match for 12,000 fresh troops coming at you. And they're coming at him at night. Ahithophel knows you have to catch this mad man now. Because if you give him a moment of respite, a moment to gather his strength, you have now come upon a roaring lion. You got problems. See, because he never forgot where he come from. When he was a youth, they testified to Shaul, the king of Israel, that there's a mighty man out there who keeps the sheep. Yeah, and he was a boy, a youth. He said, there's a mighty man out there who keeps the sheep of his father. Where did they get that mighty man from? The countryside was full of outlaws. People who would come and rob in order to feed their own and themselves, and to get wealth from others' prosperity. And they would come against Jesse's flock. David put them to flight or to death. One or the other, the word got around. And he testified himself. He didn't even let a beast get in there and get none. You had to bring some to get some. Oh, baby, yeah. And that's the way he rocked. Had to get some. So now he's been king for some time. He's got some age on him, but he didn't forget all that stuff. Do you forget that? Nah, you don't forget that stuff. No. It's time for war. It's time for war. But he wanted to go at him while he was weak-handed. That means he now has the families of the people who are escaping with him. You got children and women. Not that very many weapons. So you're trying to get away in order to gain some time, to gain some strength. And Ahithophel knows this. Let me go get him now. Let's read some.
Then said Absalom, call now Cushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he said. And when Cushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spoke unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. And Cushai said unto Absalom, the counsel that Ahithophel hath given this time is not good. Cushai said, moreover, Thou knowest thy father and his men, that they are mighty men, and they are embittered in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit or in some place, and it will come to pass, when they fall upon them at the first, and whosoever heareth it shall say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. Then even he that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, will utterly melt. For all Israel know that thy father is a mighty man, and they that are with him are valiant men. But I counsel that all Israel be gathered together unto thee, from Dan even to Beer-sheba, as the sand that is by the sea for multitude, and that thou go to battle in thy own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and of all the men that are with him, we will not leave so much as one.
He put it on him to change his way of thinking from Ahithophel's way into his own pride. You know, listen, man, your Abba is tough. He is not crazy enough to stay with the children and the women.
That's right.
You know, he's going to take a few and lay in wait for you, baby. And you know your Abba. You know him, I know, everybody know him. You see? And they already hot. They're not sleeping in their own beds. They are pissed. Come out here, get some. Come on out here. But what he is doing is what his master, King David, told him to do. You go back into Jerusalem and be my eyes, or my ears, hear what is going on, and use Abiathar and, who was that? Zadok. Use their sons as messengers to get word back to me what's going on. So right now, he's doing his best to build up Absalom's pride. Don't let Ahithophel go at the head of a charge or ahead of a force. You go. Matter of fact, you're so famous now, call a meeting of all the militia of all the land. Call them to your side now, and you go out at the head. You go, and now he's thinking, you know, that's me. That's right, I should be at the head of this force that goes out to kill my wicked father. See, what's happening in his mind by now is, after he has gone into those 10 women that belong to his father, is I must take his head from his body. And I'm not going to allow anybody to do it but me. I'm going out at the head of this. Hushai done spun a web around his poor little brain. And he likes this. Now this sounds better. But Hushai is doing what he was told. He's overthrown the other council by appealing to his pride and his ambition and his hatred for his father. All right, let's read some.
13. Moreover, if he withdraw himself into a city, then shall all Israel bring up ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the valley until there be not one small stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For Jehovah had ordained to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel to the intent that Jehovah might bring evil upon Absalom.
Talk to me.
That's right.
David is playing every right move. He goes out on the low end. He humbles himself before his God. He going barefoot with his head covered, climbing up a hill to pray to his God. He's putting his trust in his Maker. He knows that the judgment must come because of the pronouncement of heaven upon him. You know, that business with Bathsheba and Uriah, the Hittite. You see, even though he's the beloved of the eternal God, there must be a just balance here. The judgment must be fulfilled, but as it is coming now into, well, we are witnesses to what's going on behind the scenes. But now that the Most High is looking on his heart and seeing the good man that is still there, he's working behind the scenes to overthrow his son, his enemy. It says so right here. The counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For Yahweh had ordained it to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel. The Most High God put it in Hushai to form the correct words. And you see how the elders, the followers, these were a bunch of dimwits, really. Yeah, Ahithophel is right. But my boy got up and spoke. Hey, no, Hushai is right. Yeah, let's do it this way. But it's because the Most High God had put it into their heart, or into their mind, their way of thinking. Follow this loser to your own death. Let's read some.
Then said Hushai unto Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, Thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, Rise not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but in any wise pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him. Now Yehonatan and Achimah stayed by Ein Rogel, and the maidservant used to go and tell them, and they went and told King David, for they might not be seen to come into the city. But a lad saw them, and told Absalom. And they went both of them away quickly, and came to the house of a man in Bachurim, who had a well in his court, and they went down thither. And the woman took and spread the covering over the well's mouth, and strewed groats thereon, and nothing was known.
And nothing was known. You see what Hushai is doing is get the word out to him now. You see, he was probably dismissed from the council chamber. He gave his counsel, maybe they didn't tell him, we picked yours. In any case, he's going to cover all bases. Tell David, do not wait on this side Jordan, cross over. Lest they do change their mind, or if they do come upon thee, you will be weak, your back against the river, and you don't have a force big enough to repel what they would send after you. So now David will, of course, I mean, he's a military genius. He understands the message as soon as it comes. We got to move. We got to get some distance, no matter if we are tired or what. We got to cross Jordan tonight. Let's read.
And Absalom said,
I'm sorry. the two messengers got him the message, but then there's always that creep. Right? There's a creep. I'm serious, man. He has shutters on all the windows. There's a creep looking through the crack. Yeah, there's a creep hiding behind a tree. Oh, man. That's the sons of the priests. Yeah. He probably came from, and run and tell him. But they moved quickly. They knew they would discover it. They dropped down in a well. And the woman at that house in Bachurim, she spread a covering over it. And she put, kernels of wheat or whatever kind of vegetation was there at the time, as though it were drying on that place. It was there for a few days to be cured or dry it or something like that. And they walked right by it. Didn't see anything. And they went back. See? Now let's go.
And Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, and they said, Where are Achimah and Yehonatan? And the woman said unto them, They are going over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem.
Okay, some people say, well, why did she lie? Don't get used to lying. But there comes a time you better not tell the truth sometimes. I don't know when that time is, but you'll know. If it come upon you, you will know. No! Hey, no! Period. God forgive me. But that's it. And what she did was, she was looking to save their lives who had saved the life of the anointed of God. So, with all you're getting, get understanding. Sometimes you open your mouth and you destroy yourself and your loved ones. Sometimes it's good to be silent, and sometimes you just got to redirect them fools. They went that way. You see? It is important. Understand there's an anointing on each and every one of us for a particular calling in our individual life.
Amen. Right.
And it will come to a test one day or another.
That's right.
And sometimes when you look in the history of our great fathers and mothers, you see that they made certain choices in a certain time, and the Most High God rewarded the choice because they did what was good and right in the sight of the Lord. Well, it could have been right to say, well, yeah, they was here and they right over there, but it wasn't good and right. You see? All right, let's read some.
And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David. And they said unto David, Arise ye, and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over the Jordan. By the morning light, there lacked not one of them that was not going over the Jordan.
That's because Absalom is back in Jerusalem, feeling himself, and waiting for this great arrival of the forces that will march with him against his Abba. And he had time now. He said they rose up. They were down for the night. They rose up, and overnight they passed over Jordan. Now, we don't know it was by ferries or whatever it was, or if there were places of fording where you could wade across. But by the next day, everyone was on the other side. And if you're in the field of battle, you can't get a whole army across there too easily. Now that he's on the other side, he has time to move. And he's also gathering, of the old faithful. There's always going to be the faithful who realize that is the true anointed. No matter what's going on in Yerushalayim, the anointed of Yahweh is in privation, in the wilderness, and we are still going to back his cause. All right, let's go.
And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose, and got him home unto his city, and set his house in order, and strangled himself, and he died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father.
They buried him in the sepulchre and the sepulchre of his father. That means they didn't spit on the suicide the way they should have. And this one here was a reprehensible monster, the way he moved. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, what kind of pride is that? They didn't listen to me. I gave the right word, I gave the best word, and they denounced me like that. They took this young chunk, heard what he had to say, and overthrew my word. Now my whole reputation is ruined throughout the land. Also, there's this proposition.
Right.
David now is going, because he knows he gave the best counsel.
Right.
David is going to whip this young boy's butt. And he's going to find out it was me that told him to go into his women.
Right.
I'm already dead.
Right.
He premeditatedly went home, wrote out his will, gave gifts to the servants, set everything up nice, everybody good, and you get thus and thus and thus, and boom, 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 and everything is in order. Everybody cleaned up the house, and I'll tell you where all the treasure is, and boom, 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 and went into a room by himself and hanged himself. He hung up. Yes, that boy hung up. And nobody knew he was going to do that. Everybody in the house said, well, he's getting ready for the future or whatever. But he hung up. He killed the dial tone.
Lights out.
Lights out. All right, now let's go.
When David was come to Machanaim, Absalom passed over the Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom had set Amasa over the host instead of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of a man whose name was Ithra the Jezreelite, that went up to Abigail the daughter of Nachash, the sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. And Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead.
And they pitched in the land of Gilead. All right, that's right across Jordan, where they crossed Jordan. And this little genealogy here, you might want to wrap your brain around it, you know, but some people had different names, yada da yada da. You know, but Ithra, the Jezreelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nachash, sister to Zeruiah. So now, if she's the daughter of Nachash, this must be another name for Jesse. But I'm not going to go into all of that, because Zeruiah is Joab's mother and David's sister, and so all of these people seem to be somehow related. All right, so now let's go.
And it came to pass, when David was come to Machanaim, that Shobi, the son of Nachash, of Rabbah, of the children of Ammon, and Machir, the son of Amiel, Lo-Debar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Rogelim, brought beds, and basins, and earthen vessels, and wheat, and barley, and meal, and parched corn, and beans, and lentils, and parched pulse, and honey, and curd, and sheep, and cheese of kind for David, and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and faint and thirsty in the wilderness.
You see that? Now these are strangers came up for it.
Right.
Strangers looked on this thing. You see, sometimes the stranger will do better for you than your own blood. Will look to your comfort and to your life force within you better than your own blood. And they came out like that. Did you read that menu there? Huh?
Yeah.
And they brought out even beds to lie on, to get a rest, and food for strength. So I've never really been hungry in my life. You know, went without meals.
Right.
But I'm talking about hungry.
Right.
You know, when you're hungry and there ain't no meal coming.
Right. That's right. Don't know what
There's no breakfast. There's no meal time, midday meal. There's no supper, nothing. For days on end, you don't even see one coming.
That's right.
And now the hunger is on you.
Right.
See, after a while, there's no real raging in the stomach. No, now there's weakness. You see, and faintness. Well, that's some hunger. Then the stomach starts to distend or to swell, you know, and you're no good for anything. But the Most High God speaks to the heart of them who still had that love for him, even an Ammonite here. Seems to me Joab and David destroyed them for cutting off the half of the beards and the seats of some of his messengers. But there were some among the Ammonites who did, you know, they call that despicable treatment of a neighboring king. And this was one of them, came out to give comfort. And they brought a lot with them. All right? So we can move on now.
Chapter 18, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains of thousands, and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth the people, a third part under the hand of Joab, and the third part under the hand of Abishai the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and the third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people said, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, will they care for us. But thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore, now it is better that thou be ready to succor us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best I will do.
Now that's wisdom. Sometimes the master must take advice and wisdom from the inferior. And this time it is very good counsel. And he numbered the people. Some say he didn't have but about 4,000. When he numbered them that came to him in his strength, they came to Machanaim, the two camps, And when they came to him there, he numbered what he had. You know what they say about do the best you can with what you got? That's what he did. He said, the best I can is take this part and put him under the wildest general there is, Joab. But Joab stuck with him. And then his brother Abishai, an experienced warrior. And Ittai, who came and joined forces with him, he gave him a third. And then he said, I will go out with you. But the best thinking here is, listen, they're going to come at us, but they don't want us. You're the target. That's it. It's you. They must assassinate you. Then this whole campaign is done. It's finished. We'll end up serving that monster that you brought into the world. Now he's listening. He said, whatever you say, I will do. They said, succor us from here. That meant he kept the force back with him. And if they needed reinforcements, he would send them as needed. So now he retires. But let's read some.
4. And the king said unto them, what seemeth you best, I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people went out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Ittai, saying, deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom.
Now, this is where I disagree. I've never talked down to David or talk about him as though he were not a wise and just man. But we must take heed. Know to whom you do good when you do good.
That's right.
Now there's such a thing as mercy and truth, and we understand that. But this guy is coming to lift your head off your body. He has dishonored you. He has stolen from you. He is worthy of death by heaven or by the hand of the tribunal of judges that he should come before. There is no way, no plea for him. But I'm going to tell you something. This God we serve don't care how you feel. If it is in opposition to his rule of law. And we already said, you know, if you don't honor your parents, you're supposed to be dead. And he did crimes against his father that were punishable by death. High crimes. He's treason, adultery, and, well, he's plotting to murder him. He's already given the order. That's why when he comes in the field, he's coming to kill him himself. He actually wants them to bring him to him so he can destroy his life, look in his face and take his life. Now I'm really the king. There's something about that kind of foolishness. Yeah. See, I keep quoting this quote from Ben Sirah in the Apocrypha. There's a quote that he uses. No, it is in the Wisdom of Solomon, the book right before Ben Sirah. And it says, the Holy Spirit of discipline fleeth from deceit. There's no more discipline or wisdom in this boy. He's a grown man. There's none there. He can't even see death is right there. He's rushing toward it. All right. Now, listen to David's speech. Be gentle. Is that the word he used?
Deal gently for my sake.
Deal gently for my sake. You know all that this monster has done toward me, but you know how much I love him. Deal gently. So, the tide has already turned. This is a man of prayer. This man of prayer already knows within his spirit man that the battle is won. When you take him, don't put him to death. I don't care how many they got coming, we're going to bust some heads tonight. We going out there and we are already victorious. You see how he's speaking? Don't speak defeat into your life anymore.
That's right.
Give up on that. We've already won. I've won, man. Whatever you're going against, I don't care what it is. If you're speaking to a hard time, financial ruin seems like it's right there. I don't claim that. I don't claim that. Most High God never birthed us into this world to suffer like the rest of it. We got to learn to put our trust in Him in such a way that we don't trust in any other source of life. Nothing else. When he goes out this time, and he knows he's outnumbered, he's a man of war. He already sent out scouts to look at what's out there. If Ahithophel could have brought 12,000 the first night, how many do you think he had out there now? Because they answered the call of Absalom. He sent out posts all over the land, come unto me, that we may destroy David at once. And that's how many Israelites came out to kill him.
Wow.
They came out to kill him, or to see him die at the hand of this monster. Yeah. But man, every time you think about it, you go back to the old books and it tells you, follow not a multitude to do evil. Man, he got the numbers. Absalom going to win the day. Whoa, no, we got to be on the side of the winning side. But David, you know what we say here, if you got the Most High on your side, you're the majority.
That's right.
See, he split up his few thousands under 3 dependable warriors, and then told them, you know, after you kill all them fools out there, be gentle with my land. Be gentle with them. Let's read.
6. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the forest of Ephraim. And the people of Israel were smitten there before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter there that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there spread over the face of all the country, and the forest devoured more people that day than the sword devoured.
Approximately 20 went down by the sword. So this is a lot of death.
Yes, sir.
This is, and in this victory, he's actually feeling more hurt. You're the king of less people. Now look at this, the wood, the forests, the people, listen, these here warriors who are seeing and watching the slaughter of so few against so many begin to run. Not only do they retreat, they run. They run into the forests. It says the wood. What does it say here? What is that word? The wood
Devour
devour it.
that day than the sword devoured.
More than the sword devoured. Let's say 25 or 30,000 running through the forest. How did it happen? There you go. You're running into wooded areas where you don't know the footing. You got stumps, branches, bogs. They're just like landmines, you know, ditches, pits. People are running past branches that are cutting their throats. And the animals. Now you're talking to me. See, wild animals. 2 or 3 guys get cut. Here they come. That smell like blood. Damn, it ain't blood. So who's fighting on the side of David now? The Most High God.
That's
The
right.
Most High God. The evil was against him. He kept his trust in his Creator, and everything goes his way. He spoke it before they even went into the field. Be gentle with him, because we will be victorious. And that's how they went out. You know, a good leader invests in them that are with him, part of himself, his courage, his vision of what's out there. They became partners with David. All David had to do was listen to what they said, turn back, and wait for word of what's going on. And all he could hear is victory. You know how they say some people can be wrong and strong. That don't work long. That was a good rhyme right there. It don't work long being wrong and strong. Because talk to me, Naphtali. Preach, Naphtali. Okay. Preach, brother. Listen to me. They went out with David's vision of the end of the day. At the end of the day, we will be victorious, but we will not harm the lad. And they went out like that, into the fray. What's up? Now the ones who are on the side of the evil, the Most High God done pulled back from them. Where's your shield? Where's your strength? You know that there's a little bit of Kool-Aid pumping now. It ain't real blood no more. You know, this don't look so easy as it thought it was. You know, man? And these guys are coming fierce. We're going right at you. Right at you. The same way David ran straight at Goliath of Gath. He didn't circle him, let me use wisdom. Like they show in some of them movies, he's going around the rocks. And
Can't sleep at
yeah, he ran straight at him. And that's what they did. Right flank, they're right. Left flank, and right into the center. Three-pronged attack. By the time they began to move to defend themselves, they were already circling around behind them to come in again against them. Why? Because they thought like the man that they were fighting for his life. Divide them, disconcert them, encircle them, and destroy them. And while they were striking them down, the ones who could get away ran into the thickest parts of the woods and were themselves engulfed in it. In thick places where the thicket is so much, you're caught like this here with thorns sticking in you, can't go nowhere, and a beast come and rip you the rest of the way off.
Wow.
It was a terrible day. The Most High God does not rejoice that this is happening. He never rejoices that the evil should die. But they bought into an insurrection and a treason against his kingdom. That's his kingdom here. You understand that? His kingdom on earth. And his anointed. His anointed, oh man, what does it say in the song? Touch not mine anointed, and do my prophets no harm. You can tell Absalom ain't never read no scripture. That boy didn't read no Torah. Well, only the king read it. In the king's house, I bet it was read.
Does he have to write out of it?
That's right. He had to, and I just heard today that the sons following the steps of the parents. If they are good at anything or any good about them, they will step into the way of the parents. This is a mighty man of God. There'll never be another one like him in the whole history of the nation. If the earth and empire endures for 1,000 more years, there'll never be another one like him. The sons should have been watching and looking. But they were not like that, not this group. And we see that later on, he poured it into Shalom. Shalom tells you in Proverbs 4, my father told me these things. You know? Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Listen, keep your spirit man in connection with your God. All of the good that's in you will grow out of it. And even the physical heart. Damage your heart, it's not going to be pumping good blood to the rest of the body. Well, anyway, let's read some.
Verse 9. And Absalom chanced to meet the servants of David. And Absalom was riding upon his mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great terebinth, and his head caught hold of the terebinth. And he was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went on. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanging in the terebinth. And Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, thou sawest it, And why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? And I would have had to give thee 10 pieces of silver and the girdle. And the man said unto Joab, though I should receive 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom.
There you have it.
Direct order.
That was a direct order. You know, some of us will come down on either side of that question. You know. It hit me off. Listen, you can do anything you want. It ain't gonna be me. I am not doing that. All right. But Absalom chanced upon the servants of David, and Absalom was riding upon his mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great terebinth. That's an oak tree. Big, strong tree. See, so picture this. He's on his ass. And there they are. Oh man, how did I get separated and then run into these guys? Turn! He's kicking them and beating them. And he ain't going that fast, but that donkey, he's in tune too. He take him right under the lowest swinging branches, and he gets caught in his hair and his head.
All that long hair.
You know, all that hair that was what? His pride. His pride and his beauty. Yeah. That's why he couldn't wait to get back to the king's house to be what? In the court, to be seen by people. How beautiful he was. And he had a great big feast day every year when they cut his hair. Lay it up on the scale. Look at all of that hair. It ain't even all gone.
That's what he's hanging by.
Now he's hanging. So he's hanging between earth and heaven. Notice the mule got out of there. Soon as he got caught, the mule said, "Giddy up, pal." I ain't got to carry this lousy monster anymore. The burden is too much. Now, the way he's caught is he can't relieve himself with his hands.
Right.
You know, he's a big, tall, handsome fella, man. He's all cut up. But he's caught like this here. He can't disentangle anything. He's caught struggling. And he's caught. And the divine penman says it beautifully. Between heaven and earth.
Right.
One spiritual type guy said heaven didn't want him. The earth couldn't stand him. So hell was waiting for him. The jaws of hell was opened up. But there he was. Do you know that when Moses, quoting the Almighty God, says, I will repay you to your face, it's true, it's real? You know, right there he's thinking, what in the world have I done? There is no other judgment but death for me now. It's done. If there is any kind of holy wisdom in him, he knows right there, right in his face, you are guilty of high crimes, and this is the day of your death. And all the struggle and there's no way. Can't get your arms up there. You can't keep your hands up here messing with nothing for too long. You guys, right? But all of your weight and all of that hair, and every time you struggle, it just gets a little tighter. And my boy tells Joab, I saw him. He's hanging. He's hanging. He said, why didn't you smite that bastard? Why didn't you slay him? No, everybody heard it. You know how they came out of Machanaim? By ranks. They came out for inspection. David looked upon them before they went into the field, and he commanded the generals what to do, the captains, and what not to do. All right. Though I should receive 1,000 pieces of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee And Abishai ended high, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Let's read it, Chief.
Otherwise, if I had dealt falsely against my own life,
Right.
and there is no matter hid from the king, then thou thyself wouldst have stood aloof.
Yeah.
Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand, and thrust them through the heart of Absalom, while he was yet alive in the midst of the terebinth. And 10 young men that bore Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him.
That was a good end. This is one of those people, you know, I said something like this in a lesson one time. This guy needed killing. And a young man came to me afterward and said, you know, you should not rejoice at the fall of your enemy. I said, come back to Torah class. Anyway, yeah, that went right over their heads. Okay. And otherwise, if I had dealt falsely with mine own life, and there is no matter hid from the king, then thou thyself would have stood aloof. That meant, you know, Joab, you'd have been on the side of him that said, kill me, for killing me. You know good and well. You're talking all that smack right now. Yeah, Dustin. Touch the anointed of the Lord's son. Yeah, how dare he? But what he did, he walked up to him. My boy is hanging there. You know, this was the champion of Absalom back in the day. You know, yeah, get me back into Jerusalem. And he devised a plan to bring him back to Jerusalem. That was his boy. But you see, and he messed with my beard, burned up his barley. I remember that, son. But he walked up to him and he wounded him through his heart and left him alive. Threw him down to the ground, and 10 of his men. You see, he was such a great warrior. Joab, except for some of the deeds of his life, would be counted among the greatest ever. Surely he would. But they don't name him among the mighty men when you see the catalog. But right here, he hit him good, man. What exactly is a dart? Is that a short arrow or something?
Like a jacket.
You know, like the throwing knife? That's right. And the heart's still pumping and he's still alive. You see? What he wanted for him and what he actually got for him was a slow death of torment. Pain there, you know? And you can't even die yet. Yeah. Boy, and he probably cussed him out too. You wicked little bastard. You thought you could beat your Abba with me on his side? Are you completely out of your mind? Let me cut you down out of here. Right there. Hey, fall on us. I'm going to help you out. They butchered him there. That's it. You see? You drew, what does Stallone say? First blood. Germany was first blood. They drew first blood. That's a bad Stallone movie. Anyway, if you didn't see the movie, you don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so he did it. He set the tone. This guy don't run nothing. The judgment is from heaven. There are times that Joab's wisdom, you know, just like so pure and straight. It's right on point. This one must be put to death. You know David the Anointed loves him, but God requires his blood. And once he made that first move and got him where he wanted him, it says, what is it? 10 young men that bore Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. Yeah, they butchered him. Yeah, he said, chop him up, waste him. Now look what they do. Come on.
And Joab blew the horn, And the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into the great pit in the forest, and raised over him a very great heap of stones. And all Israel fled every one to his tent.
All that were still alive, that came out against King David, fled and got them back to their own abodes, to their own tents. But you see what kind of a disposal he got. They just threw him in a great pit. There's no honor in this. You see, he deserved less than potter's field. And that's what they gave him. Said, throw that trash in that pit over there. Cover it with stones so he don't stink up the place. That's it. And the responsibility is on me. I gave the order. I got this. See, in this case, he did that which was good and right. Yeah, it was good and right. Oh yeah. See? It was right to obey the command of the anointed. But you can't be more merciful than God. The word of God has been spoken. Certain crimes are punishable by death. And he had a couple of them piled on each other. You don't bring him back. He doesn't deserve it. Yeah, oh man. he was the worst. How he could hate that great man so badly. And he loved him so much. So much. And there was a big discrepancy there. All right, but you see how Joab behaves now? He stops whatever slaughter might still be going on. He blows that horn of regroup. Come back. Leave off. It's done. We cut off the head of the snake. It's done. And you know, the alarm or whatever call he used with his men that were with him, everyone understood to leave off the battle. And those who were being pursued were able to escape with their lives. So everyone went to his tent. All right? Okay, now we can read.
Now Absalom, in his lifetime, had taken and reared up for himself the pillar, which is in the king's dale, for he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name, and it is called Absalom's monument until this day.
Yeah, well, he didn't have any children, so he built up a monument to himself. Let's go.
Then said Ahithophel, the son of Zadok, let me now run, and bear the king tidings, how that Jehovah hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, thou shalt not be the bearer of tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, for as much as the king's son is dead. Then said Joab to the Cushite, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And the Cushite bowed down unto Joab and ran. Then said Ahithophel, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but come what may, let me, I pray thee, also run after the Cushite. And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing that thou wilt have no reward for the tidings? But come what may, said he, I will run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahithophel ran by the way of the plain and overran the Cushite.
Some people just gotta bring the bad news. Let it be me. Yeah, let me tell it. Yeah. This Cushite ain't gonna tell it right. Let me go and tell it. You know, sometimes the messenger gets shot. You thought I wanted to hear that? My goodness.
Let the strangers tell it.
Sometimes. Yeah, Joab is still using that wisdom.
That's right.
No, you ain't bringing no tidings today. Not like that. Come on. But you want to see the tears and the, you know, the wrenching and the rending of the garments and all of that. But there are some people with that spirit. Yeah. And some people we know like that.
Yeah.
They got the computer on now, waiting for the son to do.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, is it down yet? No. Send. Like the girl in that movie already dialed 911 in the town. She said, I've already dialed it. I'm just about to press get out. But this guy wants to run and give the bad news. How many here like that? Don't raise your hand. I already know who you are. Let's read.
24. Now David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof of the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, I think the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahithophel the son of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man, and cometh with good
You
tidings.
see that? A good man coming with good tidings. He can't wait to get there. And them Cushites can run. They running now. They over there running right now. When the New York Marathon comes, they're going to be here. They run 11 months of the year to get back to New York. Cross Verrazano like. See? But Alkima's outran the dudes. I gotta get there first. His heart bursted. I gotta get there first. He was a good man. Now let's read it.
And Ahithophel called and said unto the king, all is well. And he bowed down before the king with his face to the earth and said, blessed be Jehovah thy God, who hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, is it well with the young man Absalom? And Ahithophel answered, when Joab sent the king's servant, and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew what it was. I knew not what it was. And the king said, turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. And behold, the Cushite came. And the Cushite said, tidings for my lord the king, for Jehovah hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. And the king said unto the Cushite, is it well with the young man Absalom? And the Cushite answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise up against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is.
Whoa, that is some answer. Wow. And Achimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant and me, thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. Is my son all right? No, I ain't seen nothing. Hey, there's a whole bunch of commotion going on, and you know what I'm saying? He said, you stand right there. You stand right there. And the Cushite, he explained it. Listen, everybody who ever said anything bad against you should be like that boy. Right now. Enough said. We had a t-shirt like that, didn't we? Enough said. Enough said. I don't know if I want to go into this next chapter. It is very long. I don't want to stop it and finish it, or not finish it. What do you say? Go ahead? Okay. Yeah.
And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went thus, he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son.
Now, I am very saddened by that development right there. See? And that is something that I just can't get. I don't know. There's not that much love in me. You want to kill me and I'm going to cry for you? That's me. But he had some kind of a love for this young man that even all that he did, he held it not against him. He would have forgiven him. He probably would have kept him under house arrest the rest of his life or something. I don't know. But I still say Joab did what was right.
That's right. Good and right.
Sure. Good and right. You see, I lost my man. I said good and right. He said, oh. Glad y'all didn't see it. But here, this crying is going to produce an effect or a response. People go out to give their life for you, to fight for you and to destroy your enemy. It is best not to cry for their, because they could have lost lives.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And they would feel away, wow. Anyway, I'm ahead of the story. Let's read.
And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people, for the people heard say that the king weepeth for his son. And the people got them by stealth that day into the city, as people that are ashamed still away when they flee in battle. And the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house of the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, who this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, and that thou lovest them that hate thee, and hatest them that love thee.
You see that? Now that is a dangerous place to be.
It's messy.
That is a hard thing to hear. You know what victory in the field of battle causes? Rejoicing. Rejoicing. We came back alive. The enemy is dead. The danger is past. David will return to his throne in the city where the name of God will be published forever. Woo! Boy, oh boy. And when they heard his voice, oh man, depression, misery. And he's up on the gate there, and they're walking by like this, like, we're so sorry we won. We are so miserable. We are so shamed. But they were shamed for his crying for that no good individual. And it was a sad thing. But again, Joab appears, and here he comes with that wisdom. He's about to save him again. You know, the next effect of this thing is, man, this guy don't want nothing. Let's pull back, leave him alone, let him reign alone. Let him die alone. I'm not going out for him anymore. What good is it then? Why should we ever serve this ungrateful wretch again? That's the way it starts. The whispers. You hear that noise, man? Damn, that's disgraceful. That's not great David, that's a boy. An old man with no more heart, no guts, man. But before that could happen, Joab walks in on him. What? What did you do? Oh, Absalom, my son. Look what he says here. He said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, your servants, who this day have saved thy life. Think about that. You should be dead now. If we didn't win the day, that boy would be up here dancing in your blood. Believe it. He doing, yeah, I took your wives, I took your life, old man, old wretched nothing. Now I'm going to reign in this place. Let's go back to Jerusalem and throw this bastard in some hole. That's what it would have been. So Joab said, we saved your life. You guys out there, they shed their blood, their sweat.
Put their life on the line.
Right, their life was on the line. You don't go out there with that kind of courage in the face of those immense numbers without resolving in your mind, it's a good day to die. And why not? In this honorable cause.
Right.
And then on the return, oh man, there's no triumph back into the city of Mahanaim. There is crawling back. He said, thy life and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters and the lives of thy wives and the lives of thy concubines. I'm not going to stop on that word. In that thou lovest them that hate thee and hatest them that love thee. Let's roll.
For thou hast declared this day that princes and servants are naught unto thee. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. Now therefore arise, go forth and speak to the heart of thy servants. For I swear by Jehovah, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry a man with thee this night, and that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that hath befallen thee from thy youth until now.
Now, he telling him something right.
Yeah. Wake up.
This is, bro, you got to wake him up.
That's what it's called.
That's tough love before they ever heard of the word. Yeah, man. Let me tell you something, Jack. Not one. See, and you're not talking about local punks out here. You got princes and men of rank and great skill in war that came to your defense in a day when you should be dead or could be dead. He says, thou hast to, no, not that. He said, speak to the heart of thy servants. For I swear by Jehovah, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry a man with thee this night. He know what he's talking about, because if he blow that horn one certain way, they're out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Remember, he told them to come take the city of Rabbah, lest they call it by my name. Joab know how powerful he is. He said, we can rearrange this whole business here, man. Okay, let's read.
Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king. Now Israel had fled every man to his tent, and all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king delivered us out of the hand of our enemies, and he saved us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land from Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now, therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back?
Bring him back, baby. Get him back where he's supposed to belong at. Everything should be in its correct order, so that the blessing of Yahweh can continue to enter in to the tribes of Yeshurun. And look, if you're out of place, the blessing of the eternal does not flow through you. We don't need to harp on that very much, but think about it. If you are the one in charge of your castle, you got to be in your place. Nobody is up over you. Nobody is supposed to be on the throne of David but David. And now we bring him back, or these people are saying we must be sure to bring him back. All right? But the big thing here is he stopped that crying. He shut that up. And he went and sat in the gate like the one who was in the place that he is supposed to be in. I remember we went to visit, what was it? Benny Adat one time. Chief Prince and I walked in through the side door and came down the stairs by where the restrooms are, and we stood there. and how Cohen was up on the high place, or in the place of honor speaking. And he looked over there and said, Prince, you know where you're supposed to be. What you standing over there for? That's it. Be where you're supposed to be. And David sat there as one who is now in command, in control of his emotions, and he is looking on his servants and the princes like a loving father he should be. And the grateful man, grateful that they would give their life for him. Amen?
Amen.
I'm going to shut it down now, right about here. And before I step aside, I'd like to thank the Almighty God for my brother, Captain Ephraim, here present. That's in the house of God. Oh God. I may have spoken amiss. I think, I'm sure. We've known each other over 43 years. Yes, that's right. It's been a long time, a long journey. And I'm thankful for your life, my brother. And Princess Rimqua and I, we're leaving town this week. So we're leaving out Thursday morning, and we're not going all the way to Florida. That'll come later. We're going to Virginia, and we're going to see our Ema Princess Tamar and all of our family down there. We want to thank God for Tsar Naaman and Kokavia. You know, they are always so loving when we arrive there. Baby girl, I'm coming back. I'm on vacation. I'm looking for that fried chicken, you know. Okay. I eat fried chicken in Virginia. Naomi and Ema Tamar, we'll be seeing you soon. And we want to thank God for our brother Elder Abraham. He was here this week from Virginia. And we had a good meeting with him, thanking God for his life and for all of our lives. May the Most High God bless us all. Shabbat Shalom. Shalom Aleichem.